So I was like, no. Well, actually.
I should go 125 shot of nitrous on it too.
That'll do it.
So that guy should just pop off.
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to Breadbox Racing and 4x4. This week, we have my buddy Dylan here. What was your channel's name?
G-Body Militia.
Yeah. So he's got a, I think it's a Cutlass, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
1980 Cutlass.
He's set up as a drag car, and today we're going to rebuild a TH350 to put in it.
We put a 305 in. I've basically rebuilt that tire motor top and bottom.
Yep.
And it's a nasty little 305 that revs really, really high.
Yeah, 305s do tend to do that.
Yeah, I should go 125 shot of nitrous on it too.
That'll do it.
The motor's literally seconds away from splitting in half, essentially.
Nice.
It's pushed to its max. We put it all back together. My very first run, I went to do a test run on it, and it moved about 60 feet, and 20 feet of that was under its own power, and it grenaded the original transmission. This transmission that we're building came out of a 10-second Nova. So yeah, we pulled the transmission out of the car last year. We went to put this one in, figured we'll change the filter and everything while we're at it, take a look at it. And when I dropped the pan, it was...
Sparkly?
It was, it almost looked like a very, very metallic gunmetal gray.
Oh, like Never Sees.
Yeah.
That's what came out of the Porsche transmission.
Yeah, it was really shiny. It looked like a disco ball in my transmission pan. So I knew automatically it was smoked, and that put an end to that right there.
So there's probably going to be a lot of figuring things out as we go.
Okay, so we're just taking the pan off here. It's very, very important that if you're building a GM transmission, actually any transmission, the bolts will hold the filter on. Do not lose them, because you will never find them. They are a special bolt that is designed to sit in the recess of the filter, and they're very, very, very hard to find.
I bet you I have two laying around somewhere in the shop.
And yeah, they're very, very hard to find. So don't lose them. And remember that when you're putting your filter back on, Brad and I were just talking about this. I said the guy that built this transmission before or did any service on it must have been a heavy-duty mechanic, because I had to use a impact to get the filter off. They're 25 inch-pounds is the torque for the filter on them. So basically hand tighten a quarter turn, not 25 foot-pounds. And if you, being cast, if you over tighten them, you're gonna crack it, and you don't want to crack your valve body, because you're gonna have a very, very bad time.
Yeah.
All right, filter off to the side.
So far my role here has been undo a couple bolts and clean.
It's gonna be a lot of cleaning, I think.
Yeah. Another spot on this.
I wore long sleeves today, hoping, you know, get the fresh tattoos all dirty, but I mean, it's gonna happen.
Good luck with that. Nice.
Some other stuff done?
I actually saw a TikTok the other day.
Yeah.
And it called Highway 1 through the canyon.
Oh yeah.
Canada's Route 66. I was like, no.
Hey,
well, actually.
Okay, so the valve body's off. We were just talking, and I said I'm pretty sure there is a shift in here because it's got a green spring in it. So this is the part that starts to get scary.
Oh, I see what you mean. That is clutch material, though.
That is clutch material, so I'm okay with that. We're changing the clutches.
Yeah.
So the part that's scaring me is where is the ball bearing? We have one there.
I've got a tool for this. Where is it?
So we're gonna have to take pictures to make sure that these go back in. We do have a shift kit. We are gonna put another shift kit into it, just to be safe, just to freshen everything up, make sure it's all good. We're in here anyways, we might as well use it. And I paid for it, so I might as well put it in.
You got it, might as well use it. It's
so
fresh, shiny parts, right? And that gives you confidence too.
Yeah.
Which when you're racing, I don't care what anyone says, confidence in your car matters, because then, if nothing else, you're not afraid to push the car.
Exactly. And I don't know, those of you that know me personally know that this car that we are building right now, I'm not easy on it. It is pushed every single time I get behind the wheel. I push it to its absolute limit, and I push myself to my absolute limit with it as well. My other one that I've got, the 86, I've allegedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I push this car to the absolute limit, and the goal for this car in the next couple of years is to hopefully be in the 7-second range with it. Now that's going to matter how much my girlfriend loves me and how much she lets me spend on it.
Yeah, getting the 7 seconds, it don't matter how you do it, it's expensive.
As much as I really don't want to do an LS, to get to that point, I think I'm going to have to do an LS.
I have a guy.
I
have an LS guy.
I really don't want to do an LS because so many people do it. I joke and say that I hate the LS motor, but I really don't. It's so overdone.
That's the same reason I got the Porsche though.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, why don't you just get another FRS? It's like, well, I had one, and I could make it better than what I had.
But everybody's doing the FRS now.
And there's so many of them around town, and it's like, and then I found the Porsche, and I'm like, you don't see those around.
No,
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
In theory, that should do the job. You want to handle the screwdriver?
Yeah. We had to consult YouTube for this, so we're going to be really, really gentle doing this. We don't want to damage anything.
There's threads on that. If I can get a bolt that fits that,
okay,
then I can pull on the other side.
Okay. And we don't want to damage the pump in any way or anything along those lines. So you got to be really gentle doing this. And be careful not to mar your valve body surface either, because it's going to be a gasket that's going back in there. So I'm wondering, Brad, do we have any electrical tape that we can put on the
There should be a roll just over by the keyboard. So what we've done here is I noticed that some of these holes, this one, okay, 2 of these holes, these 2, are threaded. So to get a little bit of force on this side, I just threaded I believe it's a 9/16 National Course in there. I've just got a heel bar, and it's just enough that I can put a little bit of force on that side.
So now I'm going to come in on the top, back onto our stack here, and very gently give her the old pry treatment. There we go.
That worked beautifully.
That guy should just pop off.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so after, I don't know what, half an hour of trying to figure this out?
At least.
In the back of the tail shaft, there's a bearing here. Right up in here, it's got like a spring in there that you have to compress, and there's a special tool that locks into the side of the case to get it out. Neither of us have that special tool, obviously, because it's the first time we've ever done this, and, well, I didn't think to plan ahead and buy a special tool. So, we are trying to make a tool after watching multiple YouTube videos on guys that did, kind of the same situation where they don't have the fancy, expensive stuff. So,
well, I do. I just have the wrong fancy, expensive stuff.
Yeah, there we go. We don't have the right fancy, expensive stuff. So I think Brad's kind of come up with something that might work.
Basically, the plan is I'm going to use my collection of various pullers. This is a snap-on one. It's a reversible puller, but it's got a long thread on it, and it happens to be the right thread to fit into my cheap Princess Auto pulley puller, which we can should be able to put on the inside with some bolts and nuts on it so it presses on the right spot on the other thing, and we can use this to do that.
Essentially spread the snap ring apart, or the spring apart, so we can get said snap ring out, thus removing the last of it so we can change the seals on it now, whatnot, and then pressure wash the case even more, and hopefully be done with the teardown process of this thing. Okay, so we just finally got it all apart. If you watch the time lapse, we struggled a little bit. Had to go to YouTube and take a look at some videos.
There's a couple hidden snap rings we were struggling to find.
Yeah.
And it wasn't coming out nicely, so we knew there was something holding it together, so we just need to know where the snap rings were.
Yeah, it was like almost like an escape room. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually.
So, anyways, we've got the clutch pack out. From what we are figuring is first gear, based on the wear and the burn of the clutches. So
yeah, because we have some clutches out of this one that have lots of friction material left on them, but they're super rough on the surface. And then as you work your way to the far end of the clutch pack,
that one we're missing some chunks out of.
These guys.
Yeah.
You get down to ones like this one where there's almost no friction material left at all, and then somewhere in here there was one that was actually legitimately through to the metal. So like in a section of it, it literally had no friction material left.
So our figure is what happened was it looks like this transmission is very, very clean for the most part. So we're guessing there's not a lot of miles on it. I'm thinking what happened was it was a low mile transmission because it was out of a drag car. So, I mean, it only made quarter-mile passes. We're figuring that it was hooking up in first gear really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And cooking the clutches eventually, and they started to slip. And then, of course, when the clutch starts to slip, it's going to spin faster and it's going to heat up a lot faster. You're going to wear through that friction material.
Yeah,
so,
the instant it starts to slip, it's never going to hook up properly again. And if you keep running it, you're just going to, because you're losing clamping pressure the more it wears. So the instant you start to slip, it's just going to wear really fast.
And we're figuring that's kind of what happened in this one. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like has happened. So,
but we've got it all apart. It is an empty case.
Yep.
So now to the cleaning job, and then the.
Well, we still got to get the.
Yeah,
whatever that is.
We gotta get this last piece out here,
which looks like it's for preload.
I believe so.
So we're gonna want to mark that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're gonna get the last of that out, and then we're gonna clean this thing out completely. Go in with a clean case, and because we figured, well, while we're at it, we might as well paint it. So
we're gonna paint it anodized purple. So
because why not?
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're just waiting for Dylan to get here, but we have a couple things we gotta do today. We're gonna finish stripping down the last of it, and basically we yesterday we got this thing down to just an aluminum shell. The only thing that's left is the accumulator. which is this part right here. And it's held in with a circlip. So you have to, and it's got a spring behind it. So you have to compress it to be able to get the circlip out, and that's what I've done here. I just used a clamp and a socket, and that seems to have worked. So now I just got to dig that circlip out of there, which may be a little difficult, but we'll get her done. Then it'll just be an aluminum shell, and I can go to town on this thing with solvent and the pressure washer, and I'm not going to hurt anything. So, yeah, we're going to cut to a time lapse. I'll get that out of here because it might take a few minutes. Well, got painted transmission.
We got a couple runs on it, but it's not a huge deal. We're not even going to do any more color on this. We're just going to leave it as is. There's a couple spots that are a little lighter than others, but it's going to be underneath the car in the transmission tunnel. It's not a huge deal. The only reason we actually painted the entire transmission is because it was really gross looking before.
Yeah.
The paint was fading, as you guys saw. It was fading peeling off pretty bad. It was faded, and it wasn't great looking. So
yeah.
Everything else in my car is black and red, but I had the purple laying around, and I really wanted to try it. So I've decided now we're painting the rest of the car purple. So we're gonna go with this color, and on that, when we do the stripes and the engine valve covers and that stuff, then we'll actually take our time and do more of a thorough job on them.
Yeah.
And make sure they're not tiger striped. Actually, I don't even see any tiger striping in this at all.
No, we managed to avoid that.
Yeah. This stuff's really hard to spray because it's a candy color, and you spray it over top of the silver ground coat. And if you're not consistent with your passes, you're going to get a lot of striping in it. And I found that out the first time I ever sprayed this stuff on my stripes. But I'm impressed with it. I like it. It looks good. And so I'm happy with it. I like that color.
Yeah, it looks good.
So
so we'll put some clear on it here in a bit, but we probably won't show you that because it's clear coat. On the camera, you probably would never know the difference anyways. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to leave this for a week or two while it dries, because Dylan and we'll be going on a trip here, so we won't be able to get to that for a bit. But it's a good chance to let it dry and clean out, and then we can blow it out and make sure there's no sand left in this thing, because I think we're both a little bit worried that when we were sandblasting it, there's grit that I missed with the pressure washer and stuff the first time around. So I mean, I did as careful a job as I could, but it only takes a couple
exactly
pieces,
and
so.
I mean, the stuff that we were using was super fine. As you'll see in the time lapse, we used a coarse one. We had some technical difficulties with the coarse sand.
Yeah.
Brad brought out a small bag of finer sand, and it was smooth sailing from there, but it was so fine, and it just gets everywhere. So there's a good chance that there's still some of this media left in the transmission.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna let this cure. We'll wash it down again. The only reason we're clear coating it, it will stay this glossy with just the paint on here, but I'm gonna clear coat it because it's a high heat clear. This is a high heat paint, but it's not a super high heat paint. And I have mid-length headers with straight pipes that get very hot, to like melt your shoes hot on the floor.
Yeah.
So anything to protect the paint, I'm gonna try and do it.
Yep.
That's the only reason for the clear. So that'll give us enough time to let that all flash off and cure properly. I'm back for 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But anyways, we'll do it all, take care of it all then. And like we said in the previous clip, the next transmission is gonna be super easy to tear down.
Yeah.
I was always worried about an automatic transmission, and it's like
it's black magic, right?
Yeah.
But then once you start pulling it apart, it's like, oh well, this is just a clutch pack with a spring plate and a planetary set. And how it actually works is dead simple.
They're very simple. And I think a lot of people are very, very intimidated by them. I know I was.
Yeah.
But it's not that big of a deal, really. It took us 4 hours to pull it apart.
Yeah, and now that we've done it once, we could do it a lot faster the second time.
Exactly. There's not a lot to them. There's a lot to them, but there's not a lot to them.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is knowing where your snap rings are, and being slow and methodical how you pull everything out and put it all in order. Because
and then when it goes to comes time to put it back together, making sure you don't like cut an O-ring and stuff like that.
Yeah, which we've got ATF. We've got the clutches still hanging. We soaked those yesterday.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to re-soak them probably for another 5 minutes and let them hang dry again. Not a huge deal, but any of the ATF that dripped off, we'll just use that to lubricate the O-rings and whatnot. It's just make sure that you're using lubrication when putting your O-rings on, basically.
Well, and
no different than any other O-ring.
Yeah, exactly, and it always makes sense to use the same fluid that the thing's gonna run to lubricate stuff.
Exactly. So we've got all that stuff ready to go. It's all set up. It's all in order, and hopefully we should have the car doing burnouts in.
Oh yeah, I think so.
No time.
Oh yeah, before the end of the month at least.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Before the end of the month, we should be doing burnouts. So we just gotta get this back up to my place, or figure out how we're gonna do that, and then lift her up and in, and go from there.
Yeah.